masyado ba tayong nagiging lenient sa mga estudyante natin? Or meron lang ba talagang mga necessary change na pinagdaanan natin sa pagpapalit-palit ng modes of learning natin during the past years? Today, ang pag-uusapan natin ay ang academic leniency at academic ease. And today with my colleagues, I am Jetro.
I am Jen.
And I'm Yula.
Okay, so isa sa mga medyo mabibigat at matunog na issue na lumabas post online learning nung medyo nag-die down yung pandemic is this idea na masyado na ba tayong nagiging madali? Masyado bang nagiging madali magkaroon ng uno sa isang klase at masyado bang naaabuso yung kabaitan ng mga faculty na nagha-handle ng classes, no? Anong tingin ba natin dito?
Gawa kasi kung titingnan natin kung saan siya nagmula, nakita natin ngayon na kailangang mag-adjust, hindi lang yung estudyante, kundi pati yung mga nagtuturo, tayong mga faculty, dun sa struggles na lahat tayo ay kinaharap natin during the pandemic. Pero nung nag-shift nga, pabalik to face-to-face classes, napapatanong ang madami, hindi ba masyado tayong nagiging mabait at mapagbigay sa grades? Kaya nagkakaroon din tuloy ng issues, sinasabi nila na may grade inflation, kailangan nating taasan ang ating standards kasi ito pa ba ay pasok sa standards ng UP. Ang naiisip ko dito ay hindi masama maging lenient at understanding sa mga estudyante. As long as we know the limits to that leniency, as well as our attempt to understand the context na pinanggagalingan ng ating mga mag-aaral, ng ating mga estudyante. Ang na-appreciate ko actually with this shift in awareness o shift in attitudes ay the heightened sense of sensitivity and care towards our students. Kasi tayo, bilang mga magkakabatch din naman tayo, pinagdaanan natin to nung tayo mga estudyante. I would say na hindi as lenient and as understanding yung mga napagdaanan nating experiences sa mga profs natin, no? And whether it's a negative or a positive thing, makes me reflect na it both has these two aspects. Yung positive aspect niya being that I learned grit, yung tatag ng loob, at of course, yung better connections at reliance sa aking mga batchmates, no? I think yun yung positive aspect niya. But negative aspects?
Well, I agree din naman that there are instances where it widened our sense of understanding and our care, ganyan. There is also a tendency for this understanding to be abused in a certain level. For example, since nung pandemic, sanay nga tayo na lahat tayo nagsa-struggle lahat tayo may kinakaharap na iba't ibang pagsubok. So, parang by default, we have this sense of understanding immediately, di ba? Ngayon, it is interesting to delve into that question on bakit bigla tayong napapatanong on this attitude bigla. So, ano yung significant na nagbago? Yun yung pagkakaroon lang ba ng face-to-face setting or yung kawalan lang ba nung intense effect or yung intense na nung pandemic, di ba, na hindi rin naman talaga natin masasabing fully nawala or it's really gone, ganon. So, it makes me question as well kung ano yung mga possibilities na instead of this understanding being a positive thing, it can be turned into a negative way on how on this teacher-student relationship.
Ako, siguro to give further context din kung bakit at paano, importante, paano tayo naging lenient at the height of the pandemic. Merong series of memos and orders din talaga tayong na-receive, na parang
bawal magbigay ng
failing grades. Yung rules on absences, hindi siya ganun as enforced, yung maximum allowable absences hindi siya kasama doon. Tapos yung fact na yung semesters na yon ay hindi yung ilan sa mga subject mo doon ay hindi magka-count towards your total jiwa, no, pagdating ng dulong tayaan ng jiwa ng mga tao. So ito yung mga I believe actual right steps during the pandemic, no, dahil nga as educators, it was one of the least that we could do for our students and for ourselves, no, na parang alam natin na anxious tayong lahat nung time na yun talaga, almost ang feeling natin ay parang yung meme na yung nasusunog yung paligid ng no. Tapos it's okay, no, this is fine. Now we're still trying to do something as normal as possible given the context na napakatindi nung hinaharap natin. Literal na pandemic at the time na wala pang vaccine, at the time ng mga massive na lockdown, no. And at the time na kinakapa natin lahat, paano ba yung distance learning? Paano ba yung online learning? Na hindi naman tayo trained for skill-wise, no, bilang mga educators, no. And I agree, no, one of the positive things na nabigay sa atin nun is that it gave us this opportunity to reassess how we view ourselves as educators in the context of relating with our students. No, na parang ang daling makibagay doon sa kalagayan ng mga estudyante, knowing that we're all facing the same unknown or a difficult thing, no? Na parang pag sinabi nilang, hindi po ako makakapasok kasi nagkaroon ako ng COVID, ganyan. Unawa natin yun kasi maaaring at some point tayo nagkaroon din, alam natin kung gaano kahirap gumalaw ng may sakit or yung pamilya natin, ganyan. So, merong aspect yung pandemic na dehumanizing in the sense na medyo nawala yung connection between the student and the teacher. Pero may aspect din siyang humanizing na dahil mas madaling mag-empathize with your students kasi yun nga, you're all going through the same thing. And I think the leniency attitude na nakuha natin nung panahon na yun speaks about something about how we should reevaluate our role as educators in the context of classroom management.
I think it's also important to acknowledge that with every norm, for example, here in the academe, nagbabago lagi yan Kumbaga, kaya tayo from time to time may memo, may mga new changes and policies because we need to adapt to the needs of the students, the society, and our country as well. And noong time na yun yung pangailangan, no? So yung tanong natin ngayon, ano yung mga kailangan naman nating i-adjust? Or may mga kailangan ba tayong i-adjust when it comes to how we, to our expectations with our students? Yun yung isa sa mga napapatanong din ako actually doon na parang paano natin to ina-navigate ngayon at this point no, na hindi pa 100% full face-to-face yung setup. So, hindi mo masasabi na it's really the same situation as the one pre-pandemic. And marami pang questions and adjustments. And yun yung magandang pag-usapan.
Yes. Kumbaga, we have to strike the balance between having standards and being compassionate enough to allow our students to give them a break or to adjust depending on the different difficult situations they are going through. I think compassion should stay, no? Parang isa yun sa mga natutunan natin through the pandemic. Of course, even before, we know of professors who practice kindness and compassion, pero it was not as usual. Pero ngayon, we see its crucial role in building a classroom that is fun, interactive, that is safe, and that welcomes the different perspectives. Kumbaga, itong virtue or value of being kind and compassionate and understanding towards our students, hindi lang naman siya nakukulong dun sa aspect na binibigyan mo siya ng mas maluwag na deadlines or excuse mo siya sa klase. Hindi lang yun pero yung effect niya sa kabuuan ng classroom management and how we build knowledge building community inside.
I think isang aspeto din no in relation to that is the balance of the intention, the action, the method on how you do it, 'di ba? Yung pagkakakilala mo dun sa estudyante, mahalagang mga context din dun sa kung paano natin ipapractice itong liniasin na to in a moderate and balanced manner. And what I also observe when it comes to this shift is nung time kasi na pandemic, I don't know if it's just me or siguro based sa mga estudyante na nakausap ko, merong phenomenon wherein learning just becomes, or attending classes, completing units, just becomes something that a student does for
Like a chore.
or for the unit's sake, parang ganon, para lang matapos na yung subject, no? Kasi ang hirap maging attached dun sa pinag-aaralan mo, dun sa klase mo, dun sa teacher mo, when hindi kayo nagkikita, and at the same time, hindi rin ganun ka-conducive yung environment para sa lahat, no? So, the goal of education is not really focused towards learning, kasi makikita rin naman natin, tayo as professors, nag-struggle din tayo kung paano talaga effectively mako-convey itong teachings na to, no? So, ang dating yun sa students, since wala na silang, tinanggap na lang yung ganong condition na ang hirap matuto, nafo-focus ngayon yung pag-educate sa pagkuha ng mga grades, ganon. So, dadadala yung ganong klaseng objective sa setup na natin ngayon, when in fact, mas kaya na natin na mag-focus dun sa learning, no? We can refocus the goal into making sure that learning is fun,
Yeah.
katulad nga na sinabi mo, no? And it's something that students would really want to practice or to go to classes for. Hindi lang siya basta chore, no? So, I think kaakibat itong leniency na to is the attempt to do our best to make sure that learning really is the goal. Ganon.
Yung isang idadagdag ko na comment, kasi parang doon sa mga nagsasabi na masyadong nagiging lenient ngayon, naririnig natin yan typically from older educators, na parang masyado na kasi kayong malambot o masyado na kayong mabait doon sa mga
older batches ng students.
Oo,
diba? Nung
no?
panahon namin, ang hirap-hirap makakuha
exactly,
ng ganyan.
nung panahon namin thinking. I think it's it's an error in judgment na parang hindi actually yon yung nangyayari, kasi at hindi siya bago, no? Na parang ang sinasabi kasi ganyan lang dahil sa pandemic. Nagkaroon lang ng leniency dahil sa pandemic. Pero if you go wide enough, you set your observation wide enough and long enough, throughout history, meron na talagang trend na what we are building is towards a classroom that's safer, that's much more inclusive, no, that's much more manageable, no? Parang kahit yung mga development ng iba-ibang mga pedagogical na approach, whether that be yung mga may block of time for yung scholastic na may block of time for or yung mas caring at nurturing na mga approach, no, lahat siya evolution mula dun sa mga kinukwento sa atin na dati kapag mali kami, pinapalo yung kamay namin or
Pinipingot.
Oo,
naranasan
ganyan.
ko pa yun.
so yung ganun. Tapos overall, we're moving away from that. Ang ginawa lang siguro nung pandemic, medyo in-accelerate niya yun. In the sense na talagang we were forced to view this from the context of we are all suffering and we have to do what's best that we can do para ma-mitigate ito kahit papaano. So, bilang teachers, lalo ng teachers ng ethics, lahat tayo nag-handle ng ethics 1 na klase. Parang may isang challenge din talaga sa atin na paano mo pinaka-ethically magagawa or makakapag-klase. Yun yung isang, I think, central sa consciousness natin nung nagde-develop tayo ng bagong mga paraan at bagong mga approach dito. So, siguro doon ko babato yung sunod na tanong. Ano ba yung mga naging ethical na practice natin nung pandemic? Tapos, paano din natin siya nadala?
Siguro,
When
ako,
students ask for consideration sa deadlines mainly, yung akin. Yung sa'yo?
Mine is more on how I view the students. Kasi, before, when I started teaching, since yung nakita ko na mode of parang education, mode of learning is, ito yung teacher, ito yung student, may sense of
Authority on
gap.
part of the teacher.
Oo, may sense of gap, may sense of divide na pag ganun lagi, no, yung teacher mo susunod,
Yeah.
ganyan. But in the pandemic, since nga pare-parehas tayong nagsasuffer ganun, no, may realization din ako that there needs to also be this equal sense of responsibility both ways. Kasi while I give out the modules and the lecture videos, walang kwenta yon kung hindi rin siya babasahin o
Yeah.
papanoorin ng mga students. So, this constant reminder sa mga students na, you know, pare-pares tayo affected ng pandemic, so we need to do our best. I know it's hard, ganyan. And something na reminiscent na ganong practice na nadala ko ngayon dito sa face-to-face setting is when it comes to the classroom, I think of myself as a learner as well. Both the learner and
Exactly.
educator. And I think of the student as my teachers as well, no? So in that way, mas nabibuild yung rapport and that leads to a better understanding of the students. So I know more or better how to be lenient or how to make education easy for them but still make the learning substantial and informative.
I like that view from you, Ma'am Jen, no? Kasi one thing that the lockdown, the pandemic had reminded me as well ay lahat tayo ay human beings, hindi tayo robot, no? So, tayo as facilitators of learning, hindi natin pwede ituring yung mga estudyante natin bilang mga robot na gagawa lang sila ng gagawa ng requirements. So, this actually forced a discussion and a rethinking of the very basis of what we consider quality education. When we call ourselves teacher, we are reminded to reflect na teacher ba as in the fountain of knowledge or teacher as an equal learner who facilitates learning inside a classroom. So, kumbaga part ito ng democratizing education as well, in which we are guided by the principle of equality within the classroom as well, no? At in doing so, we build not only inclusive classes, but inclusive communities. That's the hope, no? Na when they go outside of the university, their experience in the classroom ay dadalhin nila in their communities, in the country. Na we come from a place of compassion and understanding. Na in as much as we try to uphold standards, we make sure that we uphold them from a humanistic point of view.
Isa sa mga naging popular na panawagan, lalo on the side of the teachers, ay yung panawagan na guro, hindi makina. Nakikita ko yun sa ilan sa mga tula na pinublish ng mga teachers during the pandemic, during the lockdown na isa siyang reminder na parang tayo bilang mga guro, tao tayo, no? Hindi tayo makina lang. And what I think the pandemic did or the lockdown did ay yun nga din, no? Yung pagre-recontextualize na commonly kasi hindi natin masisisi yung mga estudyante kung meron silang thinking na ang classroom may isang battleground sa pagitan ng teacher versus ng student.
Ganun sila hinubog ng history,
Oo,
di ba?
no, na parang meron silang opposed interests na hindi pwedeng ma-resolve. No? But what the pandemic did was to unite us or at least force us into that perspective na actually it's us, the teachers and the students versus an educational system na hindi talaga siya conducive para dun sa learning and we're all trying our best. No? Yung practice na gusto kong dalhin mula dun sa lockdown years hanggang sa ngayong pagtuturo ng face-to-face. No? At heart kasi utilitarian talaga ako. At heart, umamin na ako. At heart utilitarian talaga ako. Pero in this case particularly, I draw towards qualitative na utilitarianism. Yung pag-intindi na merong higher pleasures at merong mga lower pleasures. And we would do well if we are to pursue yung higher pleasures na ito. Kasama dito, syempre, intellectual pleasures. No? Isa sa mga lagi kong tinatanong sa mga estudyante na meron silang magkaibang sagot ay sino sa inyo ang natutuwa mag-aral versus sino sa inyo ang natutuwa matuto. And it's always a mixed reaction on the first one and an overwhelming positive reaction on the second one. Kasi, Aristotle ata yun eh. At its core, gusto nating matuto. Gusto nating, to know, di ba? Man by nature ay yung pag-alam. So, what we are doing dun sa leniency na ginawa natin is to make sure that at least yung mga lower pleasures na yon ay, sige, wag nyo na munang isipin yon. Mag-focus na muna tayo sa paano tayo matututo. And I think that helps if we are to put it in the context of marami talagang maghahabol ng numerical grade. Marami talagang maghahabol ng mataas na numerical grade. To me, that's a lower pleasure than the joy of learning. And what we can do in the classroom is to foster that community na magiging conducive siya towards learning. No? And one way to do that is to make sure that these people are as relaxed as possible, no, as open as possible. Kasi hindi na lang sila tungkol sa hindi na sila para maghabol lang ng grade. Ang maganda, maghabol sila na, okay, anong matututunan natin dito sa klaseng ito?
In relation to that, what I've also realized is learning comes in many forms. Kasi usually we see a particular assessment or activity, and when we give it to the students, may ina-expect tayo na sagot or ina-expect natin na natutunan nila. And minsan, hindi din natin kasi nakikita na meron silang mga valuable lessons or insights na nakuha dun sa mga tinuturo natin na hindi necessarily magre-reflect dun sa assessment. So, I do think that we also need to rethink how we evaluate or gauge the learnings from our students, no? In relation to this idea of excellence. After all, we are in the University of the Philippines. Honor and excellence, two of our virtues or principles. That is not just one standard. Iba-iba siya. Following the Aristotelian virtue ethics, no, it is dependent on the person's capabilities as well, no, yung improvement sila. So, yung excellent for one student and excellent for another student, pwedeng magkaiba siya, no? So, there is also importance in recognizing the improvements that our students or learnings na nakukuha nila na hindi necessarily magre-reflect dun sa assessment na ginagawa natin ngayon. So, we need to rethink how we try to gauge these learnings as well.
So, in making sense of academic leniency, I think kailangan din i-rethink at i-unpack nung very complex concept ng learning, education, academic criteria,
the overlapping
academic standards.
of duties.
Yes. No, it's very necessary. And in relation to what you mentioned, na yung mga students, they have different talents, different aspects where they excel. I think part of our duty or responsibility as teachers is to nurture those different aspects in the way we create our assessments. So, i-rethink din natin yung mga type ng mga assessment tools na ginagamit natin para maging inclusive siya at mas ma-reflect talaga yung learning objectives. Kasi we can reach those learning objectives through different ways or processes nga. But I also like to mention, since nabanggit no, yung duty, responsibility, and even utility, how care is central in this topic, in learning in general. No? I always remind my students na in every relationship, especially inside the classroom, merong tayong ino-occupy na space as individuals with a role as a carer and a cared for. At tayo pareho yun at the same time in the classroom as pare-pareho tayong learners. And in that sense, I, who is cared for by you, by this community of learners, has the equal responsibility to care for them. And we do this by emphasizing listening, comprehension, no, giving others a chance to speak. So essentially building an inclusive and safe space for thoughts and ideas to be created or to proliferate. At nakakatuwa kasi when I changed my pedagogy in the past semesters na mag-focus on building this value within the classroom, na to teach and ipakita sa kanila that teachers can be compassionate
Yeah.
yet still have standards.
Yeah.
To show that we can be kind yet still uphold UP quality education. I was shocked in a positive way and touched by the reflections of the students. Kasi they said, first time nilang hindi matakot matuto. Na hindi sila, pumapasok sila nang hindi sila kinakabahan.
Yeah.
And that even that they're excited to come to class.
Yeah.
Na kahit umuwi daw sila, minsan, kung ano na pag-uusapan sa class, yun pa rin ang naiisip nila. So it's very good to see how a change in our perspective and the values we uphold in the classroom can inspire our students and even make them love learning.
Okay. So, siguro from there, makukuha natin from all of our sharings in our discussion that when we talk about our roles as educators, no, there's a balance that we have to strike. And that is largely informed not just by ethical frameworks or ethical theories, no, but yung personal community and relationships that we cultivate inside the classroom. No? I hope that this discussion was as enlightening to you as it was for us. And I hope that this discussion continues outside of this. Maraming salamat po. I've been Jet.
Jen?
Yula?